Hey everybody, welcome to Alum House Sound. My name is Dave, and today we're going to do a quick discussion about reassigning inputs on the Behringer X32 or the Midas M32. All right, so welcome back to the channel. Today's discussion is going to be about reassigning inputs, mostly so that you can use your aux 1 through 6 inputs and have an opportunity to use some gate or channel strip controls, gate, compression, and EQ. Now obviously the aux ins do have an EQ, but they don't have a compressor or a gate. So the best way to do this is reassigning the input to use an input channel, one of your 32 input channels, to be able to have the aux input reassigned to that channel. So this is typically going to happen when you've got, say, keyboards, maybe an acoustic guitar, which is usually the case, or possibly even an electric guitar. So a lot of people run the X32 rack, or now M32, where you've got it on stage, you've got your inputs right there on stage, everything plugs into that box, and usually you're mixing wirelessly from a laptop or an iPad more commonly. And so we've got these direct stage inputs, let's say an acoustic guitar, that plugs right into the aux 1 input, or 2 or 3, whatever, one of those 6 auxiliary inputs on the back of the console. So you've got your input there now, no DI box required, and you want to be able to have some channel strip effects on it, like a compressor. And so what we want to do is just reassign that input, that auxiliary input, or we'll call it the preamp, even though it's not really a preamp, but we are going to reassign that input to go to a different channel. So in this case, I'm going to use aux 5 and 6. We're going to reassign it to channel 31 and 32, and that way we get the ability to use those channel strip effects. So this is going to be a pretty simple process of reassigning channel inputs to different faders. If you've never done this before, this will be a pretty quick walkthrough. So as you can see, I've got audio coming in on aux 5 and 6 here. If I bring these up, we'll see that it comes into the master fader there in the top right of the screen. And what we want to do is reassign these inputs so that we can utilize channel strip. Now, for this example, I'm going to take 31 and 32, which will be over here on this next layer up. And I'll select 31. I'm going to come into the screen here and go to Home, and then the Config tab, which is the second tab over. And it's going to be hard to see from where you are, but this first encoder here, it says Source. And we can select Source, and I'll go down to be aux 5, and then I'll select it, and you'll see that we get some flashing of that input signal there, as well as down here. The other thing you'll notice now is in this little screen here in the scribble strip, you'll see that it says aux 5 underneath channel 31. Let's do the same thing for 32, so we'll select that. We'll use the first encoder and go down to aux 6. And now we have those options. And now those are there, so if I bring these up, you'll see that they do come into the master fader. And we can go over to, say, the compressor. We could turn that on and we can start to compress the signal, and we've also got EQ that we can mess with as well. So this is the quick way of reassigning inputs. Now, one thing that you want to think about, we want to make sure we're not doubling up on inputs. So we now have 31 and 32 using aux 5 and 6, as well as aux 5 and 6. So if these were going into your main bus, you would want to deselect those so that it's not going into your main bus, even if these faders come up. Another thing is if these aux 5 and 6 were going into any effects groups. So if you were, say, in a reverb and you had selected a reverb and these were going into that reverb, then you would want to make sure that you remove those from the reverb. Also, maybe a live stream mix bus. Any buses that these are feeding that you want to be able to only use 31 and 32 for, make sure that you remove aux 5 and 6. And a quick way to do that is just reassign these. So if I select that channel, I go back to Home and then Config, I can scroll all the way to the top on the source, and one of the options here is Off. Now you'll see it blacks out the scribble strip, and I can do the same thing for aux 6. If I turn that off, what that allows me to do is completely disengage these two inputs while leaving 31 and 32 functional. All right, well, that's a quick take on reassigning inputs. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. Hopefully you can put this into practice or think of some other ways that you might be able to utilize this. You can also do this with some digital inputs. So if you have your laptop with a DAW or with tracks or something plugged back into your console, you can reassign the card inputs to other channels as well. And that's a quick way to not just put them into aux inputs, but maybe put them somewhere else that you get to utilize all of the benefits of the channel strip with any input you send in. Now, obviously, this is going to remove, some of your input channels, but again, if you've got 32 inputs and you've got 32 stage inputs or musicians or whatever the case is, then you got to reallocate these to make the best sound for you, your group, and your venue. Well, that's it. Hey, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you need one-on-one help or you've got other questions like this, feel free to leave questions down here in the comment section below. I'm always answering questions, but if you need one-on-one help, down in the description box, I've got a link to my website. You can fill out the contact card there, and we can start a conversation outside of YouTube. Well, that's it for now. Thanks so much. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.